We're ready? This is Table Talk, the bonus episode for Live from the Table, the official podcast of the Comedy Cellar. And this is Dan Naturman with Periel Aschenbrand, co-host of Table Talk, and Noam Dworman decided to stick around. We just recorded a show with Alan Dershowitz where we talked about Trump. We talked about what's going on in Israel. We will not be talking about those things on the bonus episode, which tends to be more comic-centric, generally speaking. I saw Judy Gold's show, by the way. It was very good. I won't talk too much about it because Periel hasn't seen it yet.
I'm seeing it on Saturday.
Her show, and I will just say that I kind of disagree and have, I think, expressed this sentiment with her basic premise that comedy is now more than ever under the gun and comics now more than ever are being censored. I'm not sure that's true. And that's kind of one of her main themes, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think comics have always had pushback. I do think social media has intensified that, but I enjoyed the show nonetheless. I enjoyed especially her discussion about coming out on stage. I wasn't aware that she didn't come out until quite late in her career. For some reason, I thought she had been out earlier, and I enjoyed her discussion about how comedians turn tragedy, personal tragedy, without giving too much away. She talks about many of the comedians turning personal tragedy into comedy. And she did mention Keith Robinson, who works here at the Comedy Cellar, who's had a couple of strokes. And I was very moved when he was mentioned in the show. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you have any questions.
How did you know he was moved?
No, I was moved.
Oh, you were moved.
I was moved to see Keith Robinson. They put up his image on the stage. That's all I'm going to give away. And she mentioned how he is a stroke survivor. And what she didn't mention, or she didn't get too into it, because she mentioned him alongside a lot of other people that are. There's several comedians that have had terrible illnesses, and she mentioned Gary Goldman's depression and him.
She mentioned some other person who had like a really horrible, was in the hospital.
Yeah, something horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have the strength to do this.
You barely have the strength being healthy.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Well, it's
but Keith Robinson, who I don't know if we've mentioned on this show, but what he has accomplished since having 2 strokes, being seriously compromised physically and vocally, and has turned it into really comedy gold. I mean, he talks about his experiences as a stroke survivor, and it's great. And he comes here and he does, and not only does he come here and do the 10 minutes sets, he does an hour. He's like got a whole new hour. I think this is absolutely incredible. So I would just say that.
I think it's really interesting that you just said that, because as we were talking about, it was Gilbert Gottfried. It was the 1-year anniversary of his death, and our dear friend Dara Gottfried just had a piece published in People magazine that came out today about Gilbert, and she said Gilbert used to talk about the comedy and tragedy masks. He'd say comedy and tragedy are roommates. Wherever tragedy is, comedy is looking over his shoulder and sticking its tongue out at him.
That's what got him fired.
So got the Dalai Lama fired, too.
No, he made a joke about the tsunami, right? Is that how he got fired?
Yeah.
And Gilbert also was not healthy those last few years,
Right.
but continued to work.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what, I mean, I know he had myotonic muscular dystrophy, I believe it is. I don't know exactly what his condition was, but he wasn't in top shape.
He wasn't doing well.
The past couple of years, and still continued to get on stage and do his thing. And no, you're absolutely right. Even under the best circumstances, I don't function.
I think you.
So
I think you would still do it. I think it's easy to sit here and say that if I was this, if I was that, but I think that when you're in the situation, you don't really have that much of a choice. Like, it's one of the things that actually keeps you going. Like, I would imagine that Keith really looks forward to that, even though it's difficult. Maybe even more so.
Yeah, and I guess so. I mean, I guess he has right. I mean, what his other choice? Just to stay at home and roommate.
Right, that's the other choice.
But his attitude is so great, and I just very much in admiration of that. I wanted to discuss a new joke of mine that is to do with. Periel recommended I download Headspace, which is a meditation app. get anxiety and some depression that I'm currently grappling with under control. And I got a joke out of it. And the joke is, and the joke worked like a charm. The audience laughed heartily. But I'm not proud of the joke. And I just want to hear what you all think. Whether this is hacky, quote unquote. The joke is, I'm talking about how there's 4 different meditation guides. There's an Australian guy, there's an English woman, and there's a couple of Americans with a very neutral transatlantic or mid-Atlantic accent. I said, those are the accents appropriate for meditation. You wouldn't want a guy from the Bronx. Okay, here's what he's going to do. He's going to breathe. So anyway, that's the joke, and I can extend it as much as I want. So you're freaking breathing. Whatever I want to do with it, I can go in whatever direction. Now, and it gets laughs. I got laughs here. Got laughs in the audience. But it is.
It's really
it
funny.
Seems too easy, and it's part of a long line.
Don't worry about it, Dan. You're the ones that didn't come easy are not working for you. So.
Okay. Anyway, but there is a long line. There is a long kind of tradition of jokes about accents and how they're perceived. A lot of people have jokes about how English people sound classy, whatever they say, and that's a whole genre. Then you have Brian McFadden, who does a joke about you don't want to get on a plane and your pilot is like, hey, you just do, it's similar. Brooklyn. He says Brooklyn. I say the Bronx, but it's the same.
It's completely different.
Then Attell has a joke about phone sex. Well, I like, phone sex. I want to get like an operator. I don't want a Russian phone sex. You'll give to me fuck. so there's just a lot of jokes about these sorts of accents.
J as in jihad. Overthrow the government.
That's a whole other joke. That's a joke about an Arab guy making a reservation back when
What's
I
your name?
guess you could say such things and it wasn't considered politically
What's
incorrect.
your name? Joe.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was David Tellett with terrorists making a reservation on an aircraft.
Yeah.
Not an Arab, but a terrorist.
Hysterical.
Who
Listen,
happened to be Arab. But so.
let me answer you.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I think that it's a very clever and sort of unique take on the particular subject that you're talking about. But aren't there also like premises that like lots of different jokes can be made out of? And I don't think that's inherently hacky, right?
No, you're right. They're I mean,
Look at Noam falling asleep.
I'm not falling asleep. Listen, Dan, you're right. It is easy.
It's easy.
It's a little derivative. It's funny. It's one line.
Right. You're right. Okay.
Go with it.
So
It's still funny.
I wanted to have the discussion because I think it's interesting to listeners to inside the comedy mind and how we think and
music exists on creativity and then tropes like da dum dum da ba da dum like it's like. And it's satisfying.
Yeah, okay.
That's just the way it is. Some things.
It's really
it's fine.
funny.
It's funny.
Okay.
I really like the Australian guy myself.
Oh,
He's
I
my
think he's the
favorite.
founder of Headspace. I think I read that.
We were supposed to
I don't find Headspace useful. I close
Did
my.
you try Sam Harris's?
Oh, he does meditation.
He has a
I find that I need distraction, and meditation is all about no distraction, and then no distraction means thoughts start filing in.
ruminating, but
it doesn't work for me.
But
Now,
it teaches you. I think that's the curve. You start that way, and
Yes.
you learn
not to have
to
those
deal
thoughts.
with it.
Yeah.
Yes, is that you're not supposed to just push it all out. You're just supposed to let the thoughts pass through. I mean, that's I think that's how it starts. We were supposed to take a meditation class together. Remember?
You and
me and Noam. We were going to do TM. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Noam seems to me to
we still do
be. I've said this before. I say it to people that if I could trade, not personalities, but if I could trade happiness with Noam, I would jump at the chance because unless I'm wrong, he seems to be a pretty content guy. I know he has some issues with aging and he's a little bit scared of getting older.
That's what they said about Robin Williams.
Nobody said that about
God.
Robin. Everybody knew Robin
God
Williams was
forbid.
very, very troubled. Noam seems to be the most content guy I know.
He's so grumpy all the time.
He can be grumpy from time to time, but first of all, when I see him on music night every Monday, the smile on his face is like lights up the room. He's so happy. He loves being a parent.
Yeah.
He
It's true.
doesn't hate being a husband.
which is miles
Which
ahead of
pretty
most
good.
husbands. I'm way happier than Periel's husband.
You know, he loves, he loves, and he's you know, he's financially comfortable and enjoys certain things. Like he enjoys coming to Comedy Cellar and have discussions with his friends, including that libertarian whose name you won't mention. But the joy he gets from coming to the Comedy Cellar and having discussions with people, the joy he gets from his family, the joy he gets from family vacation. Is it me? Or am I crazy? Or are you one of the happiest dudes out there?
I think you're right, Dan. I'm very fortunate. I'm losing my hearing. That gives me a lot of anxiety. But that's, you know, it's like a Shakespearean tragedy with the playing and the music because it's related. Is my mic going in and out, or is my
No, I don't.
headphones going?
No,
in?
it's your hearing.
Headphones
It's
going.
you going, yeah.
My hearing going. But yeah, for the most part, you're correct. I spent this is how much I love being a parent. I spent 3 whole days at Disney World and Universal, 8-9 hours in a row with these kids. Went on every single ride, almost every single ride. It's grueling.
Grueling, but
But yeah, I was happy to do it. It was fun.
Listen,
the only thing that bothers you, I guess, is age, right? I mean, that's the only thing that seems to.
I bother
It's
him.
outrageous. The age thing is hard. But I have a friend of mine who took his kid to my age, male, took his kids to Disney World 2 days before I did, and the father lasted like 2 rides and went back to the hotel room and let the mother continue with him the rest of the day.
That's outrageous. Listen, I keep.
And Noam also gets joy, I think, out of. I mean, what joy do you get, if any, out of you expanding over at the McDonald's? Is that giving you great pleasure?
Well,
that
it
process?
you know, it hasn't really kicked in yet. I think the building and all that is very, you know, it's engaging, so that's fun in a way. I'm nervous about this one because, unlike we discussed this already, unlike opening the Underground, which is kind of under the radar, and we had a chance to refine it and get the kinks out and all that stuff, and there were significant kinks.
Ray Davies. Okay, go ahead.
What's that?
Ray Davies.
The
Kinks, Ray Davies.
Yeah, the Kinks. Yeah, Ray Davies. My headphones are going out. This one I know is going to open probably with a lot of fanfare and probably media attention and even reviews or whatever it is. So it really has to be right on day one. So I'm stressed about that. I've never opened with that kind of scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, whatever. I'm very happy to have that property for my kids.
Insofar as just you're worried about your kids won't be able to make a living, so you're trying to.
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, you know, so you know, it dovetails. You know, this guy Li Fang, the writer from The Intercept. Do you know who he is?
No.
I know.
He just left The Intercept. It's in the news. And he started his own Substack thing.
Okay.
And I met him in Israel. We have very different politics, but I like him. I think he likes me too. So. And I said to him, "There's no substitute for being your own boss. It's like you know, I don't know how you're going to do financially, but you're going to be your own boss. And once you're your own boss, you really
don't go back.
No, you don't want to go back. So, I do worry about my kids making a living, but I also would like them to be able to be their own boss because fucking work for somebody else. I mean, my God, what a way to live."
I wouldn't know.
But you have 3 kids, so is there enough pie for all 3 to be their own boss?
I don't know.
Well, somebody's going to be.
So, you know,
Now, there's certain professions where you are your own boss.
That can create problems. I mean, you know, if you have a business and the kids, and you know, are squabbling over the business, or one kid is really shining in the business,
Yeah.
and the other kids are just kind of like
You never know what's going to happen.
doing nothing.
Like one of the main reasons I didn't want to be a lawyer is because I just didn't want to have the partners telling me, you know, what to do, and the clients. I don't want to answer to people. Your whole life is answering to people. The stress of having to answer to people.
Mm-hmm.
Now you freak out when SDCs are set. Like imagine like this, like all day long. It's just like answering to people.
Do you freak out when SDC's your set?
I don't like it. I don't freak out is a strong word, but I do have a strong reaction. When Noam, as I mentioned last week, Noam was in the audience. I was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" You know, it did.
He's like, I own the place.
It did. Yeah, I did. I didn't like it.
You didn't like Noam watching you either?
No.
Don't you have a sense that maybe these people are actually rooting for you and are excited to see you?
He didn't think I didn't have a right to be there. He just like he was. I get it. It's stressful.
Yeah, he certainly has a right to be there, and I'm sure he's rooting for me. He's rooting for the best possible show for his customers.
Yeah.
But as Noam has said quite explicitly on the air, if I stop killing, he'll stop using me.
That's right.
He said he might just cut me a check, which actually I might prefer. But assuming I needed it, but if I was in dire straits. But he would not use me. In other words, he would not use me if I weren't doing the job. And there's so many new comics, and
Listen to me, Dan.
they're coming here, and fortunately, my joke writing is. I mean, I don't think anybody writes better jokes. I mean, there might be people who write as good jokes, but better. I don't think there's anybody writing better jokes.
I'm glad to hear you say that. But I also want to tell you that part of what Noam's, happiness or contentness comes from is that he's not looking at other people being like, that guy is happier than I am. Because there are people looking at you, and we've had this conversation many times, being like, if only I had Dan Naturman's ability to write jokes or head of hair or whatever it is.
All right. Schlong.
Well,
Thank
look, I mean,
you
you say that in jest, but it's fairly respectable. It's not enormous, but it's decent size.
I think that you would find a lot more contentness. Can you stop on the phone?
It was something says Louis C.K. and I thought maybe something for our show, but whatever.
What?
I stopped. Go ahead.
Well, now I want to know what it is.
Forget about it. Go ahead.
Is that you might be a lot more content if you could learn how to do that.
Yeah, that might help. Yeah.
I mean,
You're saying compare and don't compare and despair.
I'm saying that comparison is the thief of joy, and that there's
comparison is the thief of joy. Did you make that up?
Shut up.
It sounds quote worthy.
Shut up.
Is that Oscar Wilde?
Well, people say don't compare and despair.
No, comparison is the thief of joy. Are you fucking with me?
You've heard that before? I'm not fucking with you. I've never heard that.
That's a thing.
You've heard that, Dan?
I've not heard it expressed that way. Like I said, I've heard it in terms of comparing.
Is that Chat GPT? Who said
comparing and despairing?
It might be Oscar Wilde. Comparison is the thief
all
of
right,
joy.
we got a comparison.
There's a tenet in Judaism, and I said this before, and you poo-pooed me, but that you only look over to what your neighbor has to see if you can help give them something that they need. You never look over to what somebody else has and compare what they have to what you have, because you'll never be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Googling. Chat. Comparison of the thief of joy is often attributed to Theodore Roosevelt. However, there is some debate. It's Benjamin Netanyahu.
Shut up.
There's some debate over whether he actually said it or for someone else. Regardless of its origin, the quote has become popular. I never heard it. And is often used to remind people that comparing themselves to others can be damaging to their own sense of happiness and well-being. That's Chat GPT. Yeah.
No, I don't get the sense that you compare yourself to others. I mean, you've mentioned in passing certain
That's
friends.
what I just said.
Yes, but I'm going to ask. But I'm going to ask. But maybe you're wrong.
Well, everybody compares themselves to others in certain things, but I mean, listen, I'm very lucky. I understand. I understand that I'm very lucky, and that it would be unbecoming of me to walk around discontent with my life, because basically everything it's bad luck to even talk this way, right? But everything in my life has been very good.
And you're very lucky too.
In certain respects, yes.
In many respects.
Of
In
course.
many. Do you practice gratitude? Do you write a gratitude journal? Do you wake up every morning and say 3 things that you're grateful for?
Oh, shut up, Periel.
You shut up. That's a really important thing to do.
I haven't done that.
Well,
but
you should.
You
try
do
it.
that?
Yeah, I do.
Don't you run out of things after a week? Just say the
well,
same.
you can
say the
repeat.
same- say-
You
say
can
the same-
repeat, right?
Yeah, you
Like
can.
a fucking Jewish prayer. You say the same thing every morning.
You can do reruns.
It could be anything.
What'd you say? I'm calling bullshit on this whole thing. You didn't say it. You said 3 things. Is one of your happy. What were they?
I said the first thing I'm grateful for is that Noam is losing his hearing.
Second thing, you're thankful for your sense of humor.
What did I say today? I don't know. It could be I'm working on a writing project that I'm really, excited about. I don't know, whatever. It's maybe private, but it doesn't matter. The point is that there's science that backs this up too. And I actually hope that you never lose your hearing, because I take such joy in driving you crazy.
humiliation telling us that Kentucky Fried Chicken was
I'm
not
not
actual
embarrassed
chicken.
by that at all.
I don't think you should be telling us about
Well,
science.
that was posted on. How much traction did that get on the Instagram?
I'm not humiliated by that. There's like millions of people who thought it also.
Millions of people voted for Trump.
That's true too. Anyway, there is science about practicing gratitude.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah. I mean,
But that's not what you said, but yes, I believe that.
I did say that's exactly what I
You just said you're supposed to wake up every
You
morning and say
are-
3 things that you're thankful
but
for.
It doesn't have to be 3 things. Don't be so literal. You're supposed to practice gratitude every day, and you're supposed to write it down. Why?
You know, I used to make fun of does my sassiness, what's her name?
Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou, because of her accent. And I used to imagine, like, she's from the deep south, you know, like what kind of family speaks like, blah, 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 like I know that when she goes home to Thanksgiving dinner,
Right.
like
They
they look at her
don't-
like,
they don't-
who talks this way, Maya? We grew up with you. We know you don't talk that way, you know. And then I'm realizing Periel's the same way. Like, who talks like you?
Why? How do I talk?
How do I talk? Blah, 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 blah.
Is that true?
I don't.
I don't
I don't
think
detect
so.
any kind of weird way.
don't-
Periel's accent?
I don't have an accent.
I'm an edamame. Like. Anyway,
She has certainly a unique laugh.
whatever.
Okay, what else?
And from now on, when she says a word, she
I don't have a weird accent. I mean, I might have a New York accent.
accent. Accent is
Well,
2 syllables.
she just did sort of like upspeak. You know, it's when.
All right, whatever. Moving along.
Yeah.
We're going to start practicing gratitude.
Okay.
So you didn't like Headspace, which might mean that you need to do it more.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it didn't work for me, but I guess it
Well,
takes
how-
practice.
Yeah, that's
It-
exactly right. Now, you've never meditated?
No.
I tried one time. I had a bad experience with a yoga.
With the yoga teacher?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
He touched me in a way that I wasn't comfortable with.
Shut up. Not really.
Yeah, really.
When was this and who was it?
It was right in this room. It was right in this room when I lived here.
A guy or a girl?
A guy. I think a girl I would be uncomfortable with.
Well, it depends which girl, I suppose.
Any girl. With a guy. It was a little creepy. Anyway, but I've never met. I did try to listen to the meditation app one time. I do believe meditation works because I know people who do it. Coleman does it.
You know, if Coleman does it, then that's the...
Jerry Seinfeld does it. Howard Stern does
Yeah.
it. Sam Harris does it.
Let's go do the TM thing.
Yeah. I don't think I'm cut out for it, but I would try it.
Well, that means even more reason why you should do it. I'm not cut out for it either.
Oh, well, one
Really-
other. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I just one topic I wanted to bring up that I had.
I'm not gonna find either. Go ahead.
One topic I wanted to bring up is I need to do an album because they stopped playing me on Sirius radio. There was some dispute with, I don't know the nature of which I'm not exactly. Anyway, I need to make a recording. Now, is the sound quality, Nicole, you're a sound person. Is the sound quality of the videos from the Comedy Cellar, just from the built-in sound system, good enough for radio, do you think?
We can maybe dive into it later, but sometimes they have like cable issues that I think they're working on correcting. I don't want to speak for them, but sometimes it'll like shot out. So I wouldn't, fully put my stock into it unless you had someone really dialed into it. But
Yeah, of course it's good. There's been a number of specials recorded.
But are they recorded from the built-in equipment, or do they
Yeah.
bring people in?
No, they bring people in to use our equipment.
Can I
So
propose-
they don't use their own cameras. They don't use their own.
No,
for
these
the
are on cameras.
sketch?
The audio.
the audio is they use your audio.
Yeah.
Can I throw out...
So that's good to know. So
When
then,
Comedy Central did their TV show, they used our audio.
oh, okay. So then that answers the question. So then is that which room has the best audio? Is it all good? Like if I was to do
The
an
same.
hour at
The underground has the most.
I wouldn't get the underground.
The underground has separate stems for the audience, mics, and the things that you have.
If I wanted to do two 45-minute sets, say, and people do an hour or 45 minutes, whatever it is, to get an opener, whatever, you wouldn't give me the underground.
I'll give you the underground if you can sell tickets.
Oh, well, yeah. In other words, when the people that do these hours, are they responsible for filling it themselves, or they just you put them on the schedule and
And
people
usually they bring in. We have pretty good cameras now, but you want to do an album or you want to do a
just an album to put on Sirius? But I'm saying
But an
like,
album is audio. You want video also?
No, not necessarily.
Well, so the audio. I mean, listen.
Is the audio good even at the lounge or at the
Yeah,
at
but the thing
bar?
is, if you're doing audio, I don't see why it has to be 45 minutes. You can just splice it together. No one will
Right.
know it's not the same show.
Yeah, like you could
Oh,
do
you can do
joke
that.
per
Oh,
joke
yeah, you
and
could do
just
that.
take
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
You should record like 30 sets.
So just regular sets at the underground.
Right.
Or Liz sends me the. So is it the file that Liz sends me? I can just use that.
Yeah, I can get you the audio. I can get you the regular
Yeah.
audio files. You should record yourself every day, and then
Well, it's recorded anyway.
right, but or get the and just like start keeping track of your best performances.
okay, yeah.
And the audio, just put them all together into one set.
And Nicole, is that something you can do to put all my audio into one set for a fee, of course?
Yeah, of course.
That's something that you have expertise in.
yeah, but
Well-
you probably want someone to like mix it for you and whatnot. That's like a whole other
Oh,
ball
okay.
game. But I know lots of people who do that who are wonderful.
Yeah, that's easy.
So I can go to you for that. And you can send me the audio. Is the audio like when you send me the video file? I can't use that for an audio.
Yeah, you can take the audio off.
You can export the audio from the video. Is the bonus episode become us working out certain logistics?
The bonus episode is all kinds
Can
of
I
things.
throw out a
The
radical?
bonus episode was my joke about accents. It was Noam's happiness. It was
My accent.
your accent. All sorts
Listen
of
to
things.
me.
Can be
Can I
anything, yeah.
throw out a radical idea to you? Why don't you tape a special?
That's okay. You know, somebody approached me about that recently. That's like $7,000.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. There's so many specials. That's something all comics are doing now. They're producing their own specials. They put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hoping to get 1 million people to see it so that they can go on the road and fill up theaters and so on. But then they got to write another hour because the hour's already been blown.
or to sell it.
Yeah, but I'm not likely to sell it. I mean, I don't have a big following, and
I
know,
like
I
this
mean,
attitude.
well, I'm just saying. It's an investment of money, and is it a good investment? So one can
Well,
make
what else are you doing with your money? Are you investing it in other things? What else? I mean,
plastics.
what else? I mean, it seems like the best investment possible.
I suppose, but you know
it
what
doesn't have to
happens
be an
is
hour.
what
You could
happens
do
is once you
45
do an hour,
minutes.
the best case scenario is you blow up on YouTube. Then I need another hour
But
to
you
go. I ain't got it.
You have first of all, you don't have to do an hour. You could do 45 minutes.
Okay, but then you need to, when you go out. If you do like these comics today are coming up with hour after hour after hour. Now, one thing I will say, I did say I have some of the best. There's no better joke writer than me. Maybe equally as good, but no better. But prolific. Some of these people got me beat by a mile. These people coming out with hour after hour after hour, and I just don't work that quickly.
Well, maybe this would light a fire under your ass to start writing.
No, what was that?
Noam,
My
don't you?
knees.
No, what do you think? I
Don't
mean,
you
like,
think
what
he
did it
should-
used to be that way? That people used to just. I don't think it used to be that way. Like Seinfeld had his hour, and he milked that for like 10 years. And then he got a TV show, and became a multi-gazillionaire. But the new paradigm in stand-up is coming up with an hour every couple years, so you can go on the road. Like the old method was get a TV show, right, and become famous from your TV show. The new method is get famous from your stand-up and then do more stand-up and then do more stand-up and keep writing other hours. And it's certainly challenging.
Or get your book sold and turned into a movie or a TV show. I mean, there are a million different
I'm just saying
scenarios.
that the stand-up world is really radically changed from when I started. I think that I think in the old days comics they had their hour. I mean, I don't know how. I think Seinfeld, like I said, I think he had his hour, and for 20 years, and then he started. Once Seinfeld was over the show, and he was going back out on the road, I think he started writing new.
Listen,
stuff,
I
but-
just saw Seinfeld, and I saw him do jokes that like I've heard before, and this was at the 100th show of his residency at the
Right.
Beacon.
Well,
But you're-
I think that, but I'm just saying. I think. Do you agree with me that prolificness is more important than ever in stand-up?
Yes,
comedy?
I do. But I
what
also
I'm getting
think
at.
that people are putting things like crowd work on social media because, there's this demand for constant content.
Right, and crowd work. Yeah.
But I also think that that's not necessarily, the only end game of you taping a special. It's not that you're thinking.
Oh, you're thinking, but maybe people buy my book because they see.
I think that there are a lot of different things that only good can come of it.
Well, you may be right. Okay. Anyway,
Noam,
1 second.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm tuned out.
Go ahead.
Noam is tuned out. We're at.
No, I'm asking Chat GPT to write a joke about meditation instructor with a
Okay.
Brooklyn accent. See
Well,
what
we'll
it
just
comes
see
up.
well, yeah. I mean, that's an easy one, I think, for ChatGPT.
don't you think that Dan should tape
That's-
a special?
Of course. So this is Chat GPT. So there was this meditation instructor. Now this is prolific. Instantly, there was this meditation instructor from Brooklyn with a thick accent. One day, a new student walked into his class and asked, "Hey, what kind of meditation do you teach here?" The instructor replied, "Forget about it. We don't teach no fancy schmancy meditation. Just sit down, shut up, and breathe."
You know what? That's not that far off. That's not that far off.
Not that one. So the student was a bit surprised by the instructor's straightforward approach, but decided to give it a try. After the session, the student came up with the instructor and said, "Wow, that was amazing. I feel so relaxed and peaceful." The instructor replied, "See, I told you, kid. Just breathe and let go of the other crap. It's like I always say, don't get all bent out of shape. Just sit and meditate."
You know what? That's not that far off. I don't have to read. I agree.
That's
totally-
amazing.
Yeah.
That was
not
less
that
than
far
a
off.
second.
That is not that far.
Less than a second.
That is not that far off from what I was proposing. But what are you going to do?
Don't
That-
get
that-
bent
the
out of
part-
shape. Just sit and meditate.
that
It ends with a kind of rhyme.
Well, that part's also kind of clever, right? Because it's a play on don't get bent out of
You know, I bet
shape
if I
from,
did
like,
that
yoga.
joke on stage, I probably would get some laughs.
I think yours.
Forget
is
about it.
Now, we did,
don't
you know-
teach no fancy schmancy meditation. Just sit down. This is the best part. Just sit down, shut up, and breathe.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what I said. I said, you know,
Add that there. Just sit down, shut up, and breathe.
I didn't say that, but
you
it's like.
should. It's not stealing if it's from ChatGPT.
Anyway, that's a little bit disturbing. But like, yeah, I mean, look, we knew the joke was
It's not a cousin Sheila joke.
No, that's not a joke. Like, I have jokes that ChatGPT is not going to come up with, but that's not one of them. But anyway,
ChatGPT is amazing.
it's scary. It's amazing, but it's quite scary.
It's how instantly it came up with it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
How
That's
long
insane.
did that really take?
a second.
You were there. I pressed it. I said, as I was typing it, I said it out
That's
loud.
absolutely insane and scary.
Yeah, it instantly came back immediately.
It's insane.
That is in fucking sane. That's of all the ChatGPT things I've seen. That's the most frightening one.
You would think just
You
the
know.
time it takes to bounce off the moon,
Yeah.
like to get would take more time than that. I mean, just it goes from some computer somewhere into space and a satellite back, and processed it and wrote it.
Are comedians going to become obsolete?
Doctors sure fuck are.
I know.
I don't know about comedians.
Well, doctors, not surgeons. I mean, people have to do physical
not surgeons.
manipulation.
Not nurses. Definitely not nurses.
But you're
doctors.
saying anybody that's like doing diagnoses can be replaced.
He's been saying that for a minute.
That was one of the first questions we asked Tyler Cowen. I said,
Yeah.
"Would you rather?" And it's amazing. Just this week there were two major stories.
I
There's
sent you one of them.
people had their life saved. Well, the most recent one was some doctor told somebody, "Don't worry about it, you have long COVID," and they typed it into ChatGPT, and they had a 1 in 100,000
Some crazy disease.
minuscule probability of frequency disease, and ChatGPT as
Picked it
quickly as
up.
I diagnosed it as quickly as that joke.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But this is exactly my point. For reason is like doctors only know what they can remember in their head. They
Right.
can't remember every low probability.
Well, and they also probably don't know about every obscure, like,
Right, but you would still need doctors to. I mean, I don't know. Can reading X-rays be automated?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Already.
What about a dermatology skin check? Can that?
Or
Be?
there's already AI, which is more accurate than dermatologists. You could take a picture of a
skin cancer.
growth.
Yeah. So they could just put you like in a tube, and the tube just takes a full body scan and says.
You could also probably just take a picture and
All right.
send
So
it.
the only thing that doctors will do is surgery, I guess. I mean, ultimately, and maybe you could get robots to do that at some point.
McDonald's
We
just
love
opened
robots.
its first
Robots. I'm going to do my
person-
Trump
Yeah,
impression.
we will not need. I don't know if it'll be zero doctors, but medicine
Well,
is
certainly
not going to be the same.
research doctors. Obviously, will need people to
Maybe.
Well, somebody's got to input all this shit. Somebody's got to input the fact that this is what a melanoma looks like. Unless AI starts to learn.
No,
on
AI
its own.
teaches itself.
I guess, but to an extent.
ChatGPT, or I think it was ChatGPT, is already manipulating digital images.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the kicker: it was never taught to manipulate digital images. It teaches itself.
Wow.
That's very scary.
It's crazy.
I don't like you.
McDonald's just opened its
Dave.
first person-free drive-through.
All right.
The entire place is run by.
Robots?
Yeah.
Robots?
Mhm.
I had this argument with my mother 5 years ago too, when they started raising, that they have this anger towards fast food restaurants. So they want to raise the minimum wage for fast food employees, and all these. There's whole bodies of law in New York which simply apply to fast food restaurants. I tell my mother, like, do you think the technology to flip burgers is so elusive? As like you're making it cost effective for them to just replace all the employees. What happened to like kids in high school, teenagers would work in the fast food restaurant? They wouldn't make a lot of money, but it was good training to learn how to hold a job, and you were living at home. This was perfectly fine. But they want everybody to be able to have like a family in a 2-car garage from working at McDonald's, and they think they're just, we're just going to raise the minimum wage until people can make a decent life, career out of working at McDonald's. That's not going to happen. It's ridiculous.
Anyway, thank you for listening to the bonus episode. I think this was a really tight bonus episode.
Yeah.
We started like with the meditation. It got a little bit, but then we found our focus again and ended strong with the Chat GPT.
The Chat GPT was amazing.
That was amazing. We dissected my joke and
So this is what we should do.
Yeah.
We should, whoever's doing the clips,
Danny,
he should take the first part of that.
where I'm talking about my joke,
We talk about the joke.
and then
Then just put the part of
Place
it.
the ChatGPT.
What is it? What's that thing they call? They go 5 minutes later. You know that thing?
Yeah.
She used that meme.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, and then put the thing and have me read the Chat GPT.
great.
That's a first class clip.
That's the
That's
first
great.
class clip, and hopefully it will go viral.
Will
as it
we
did-
tell them to do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
But I want the
And
5 minutes later.
And
whatever.
guess what?
What?
I'm not going to even have to tell him to do it because he can hear it when he listens to the episode.
does he listen to every
no, I'm
episode?
just kidding.
No,
No,
no, no.
I
That's a
we
big.
give him
That
the-
guy does doing a lot of work. He's listening to like all these clips.
But
Yes.
I think that could really be a good clip.
Yeah, it is a good clip. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Okay, thank you for listening to Table Talk, the bonus episode available. I don't know, Patreon or just no?
Not
That's
yet.
okay.
Maybe we should put it
All
on.
right. Anyway,
Patreon.
thank you for listening. Bye bye.
Bye.